Hey everyone, Bear Brownies here. In this video, we will be discussing what I think are the best and worst units of Season 8, sorted into a tier list. I'll be focusing on mainly Tier 5 and Tier 4 units, but we'll also include a handful of Tier 3 units which I think are worth running if you run out of leadership. As with any tier list video, there will be those who disagree with me, and that's okay, as we all enjoy playing games in a different way and for different reasons. My tier list is based on my experience of playing casual, ranked, and competitive TW over 200 plus hours during Season 8 alone. Starting with the F tier, if you're planning to unlock any of these units and run them, then I strongly advise that you don't. Unless you're a veteran and unlocked them when some of these units were good, then please do not consider using these in any game mode. The only tier 5 unit to make it onto my F tier list are the Rattan Rangers. They aren't worth getting nor using, although they were OP in the past, they simply aren't now. When it comes to tier 4 on my F tier list, it's all cavalry. Starting with the Dagger Axe Lancers. Their leadership costs are way too high, and a unit focused on killing archers is not good. Secondly, Prefecture Heavy Cavalry. Nobody runs these units, and for good reason. They are bad. Thirdly, Siphi. Simply not good, low damage, and squishy. And finally, Keftor Cav. They are neither a melee cav unit nor a mounted archer. They are the worst of both worlds. Next up in my tier list is the C tier. These are units which aren't terrible, but generally not worth running. In the tier 5 C tier category, I have the Iron Reapers, Cataphract Lancers, and Keshigs. Although all three units are okay situationally, they are eclipsed by much better tier 4 units higher up in the list, therefore they are not even worth unlocking. For the tier 4 section, firstly we have Imperial Spear Guards. Although a great shield unit who are extremely tanky, they do absolutely no damage. Secondly, Vassal Longbows. These units have a lot of range, but lack the killing power of their superior counterpart, the Imperial Archers. Finally, we have the Men-at-Arms and Spear Sergeants. Both units are worth unlocking and playing with if you are low level, but will fall off heavily as you reach level 300 plus. These units are not bad per se, they are just not good in high level games compared to their upgraded counterparts, the Paladins and Stalwarts. Before we get into B tier, if you are enjoying this video so far, please consider subscribing to my channel to support me. B tier is what I consider good units. They aren't necessarily the strongest in the current game meta, but can still be played effectively in most games. First up in the tier 5 section are Celadars. They are still very good in certain situations, but suffer from leadership costs like any other tier 5 unit. When you run a tier 5 unit, you expect them to be the best in their specialty area. The Celadars are surpassed by much better and cost-effective tier 4 shock units, which I will cover later on in the video. Next up are the Shield Maidens. I really like playing with the Shield Maidens, however they aren't a great tier 5 unit. This is mainly down to their leadership costs. If they were a tier 4 unit instead, they would definitely be higher up in tier. Finally, for the B tier, tier 5 units are the Tergios. These are a great musket unit, however like any other musket unit, they suffer from poor range, accuracy, and are easily affected by weather. Therefore, the Tergios are in B tier. For the tier 4 in B tier, we have Imperial Javelineers and Halberdier Sergeants. Imperial Javelineers are a good brawler unit with a great shield wall, however lack ammo. Halberdier Sergeants on the other hand are a good pike unit, but suffer from low defensive stats, poor AI, and a terrible charge. Finally, we have Kriegsrats and Imperial Arquebusiers. Both are a great musket unit, but they make their way into B tier for the same reason as the Tergios. They have poor accuracy, range, and are easily affected by weather. A tier is what I consider meta. All of these units are great to use and are very strong. If you are a new or returning player and you do not know which units to work towards then A and S tier units are what you are looking for. For my A tier, tier 5 units, we have the Pavis Crossbowmen, Laos Rangers, and Monastic Knights. These crossbows are one of the best range unit in the game, however they fall short of S tier due to being slow in movement, relatively squishy, and being very doctrine dependent. They are best used when playing on defense. Lao's Rangers are no longer S tier due to the changes made to their devastation and bludgeon abilities at the end of Season 7. Although still a strong and effective cavalry unit, they are no longer overpowered. As for the Monastic Knights, they are the tankiest of the tier 5 cavalry units and are used extensively in field battles and TW. Next onto tier 4 A tier units, or what I like to call the meta units. These are the units most of you who are watching would either already own or be working towards. Starting off, we have the Palace Guards and the Paladins. They are both great shock units, but with the addition of the Palace Guard brace, you'll find that the Palace Guards are a little bit better. That doesn't mean that the Paladins are bad, as they still have their place. Just make sure to get Ironside on whichever unit you intend to run. ASAPs are still good, although you probably won't see these around as much as Paladins or Palace Guards. Imperial Pike Guards make their way onto the A list. They are currently the only unit which can stop all cav charges with their slow walk, but that's really all they are good for. You can't live without imp pikes, but they are still a one-trick pony at the end of the day. The Grey Hair Garrison is the newest tier 4 unit. I wouldn't say they are overpowered, but they are still very strong, and a direct counter to Berserkers. Although a little micro-intensive, you will be needing to control them and use their abilities as much as possible to get the most out of them. Next up are the Imperial Archers. They are, in my opinion, the strongest range unit, and are more versatile than Pavis as they are faster in movement speed, shooting speed, and have a much longer range. Before we move on to the S tier, I have a handful of tier 3 units I would like to mention. These are all what I consider A tier and the only tier 3 units worth using in high level play. If you are playing ranked battles, please make sure you are running 3 tier 4 units, and you should only pull out a tier 3 unit if you are running at least 1 tier 5 unit. The 3 tier 3 units I have chosen are the Condottieri Guards, Landsknechts, and Namkan Archers. Finally, we are on to the S tier list, which is what I consider overpowered. When it comes to the tier 5 units in this section, if anyone on your team is using these, they can easily turn the tide of the battle. First up in my S tier list are the Winged Hussars. They are still the best cav unit in the game with the best charge. Next up are the Falconetti Gunners. They are simply the best range unit in the game, and can be a whole lot of fun to use as well. Just be aware that running Falconetti Gunners will attract suicidal players. Finally, in the tier 5 section for the overpowered units, we have the Sifonari. They are amazing at killing and CCing everything in front of them with the flamethrowers. The only downside is that their range is super short, and they will only work best when working together with a shield wall. Next onto tier 4 unit in the overpowered list are the Berserkers. They are the strongest shock unit in the game. Not only do they have an incredibly low leadership cost, they can lifesteal and have an insane amount of HP and damage. There is currently no other unit like this in the game. Armiger Lancers are the go-to cav to run in siege battles. That's because they only have a leadership cost of 240, whilst having better stats than any other tier 4 cavalry. You can easily integrate this unit into a low leadership warband. When it comes to shield walls, Stalwarts have the strongest brace, which makes Shield Maidens and Imperial Spear Guards look bad. Finally, we have the Fortebraccios and the Javelin Sergeants. Fortebraccios make their way into S tier as they are the strongest braced unit. No other unit can hold a choke point or gateway like the Fortebraccios. The Javelin Sergeants are far superior to the Imperial Javelineers thanks to their increased ammo capacity and their double shot ability. I hope you found this video helpful in deciding what units to work towards this season. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I also stream regularly on Twitch, so please check the description for the link. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.